Welcome to today's edition of Mental Health Matters. Today, we're going to be talking about relationship. I have Jeremiah James on the show today, and he's going to share a little about his relationship and what it's like to be a stepfather. So, Jeremiah, welcome back to the show, man. How you doing this morning?
Hello again. I'm doing well. I'm a little tired, but I worked this morning and then got some plans with the family later. So I'm doing good though. I'm doing good. I'm correct.
Nice. So let's start by you just tell a little bit about yourself, and then we'll just jump in and go from there.
So I am a group fitness professional. I teach different things with group fitness. Between cycling and battle ropes and weight loss classes and all those other fun things that come with it, and nutrition. So that's what I do for a living. It's all about that health and fitness. But then also I dabble in music and acting and stand-up comedy and all that other kind of fun stuff too. So I have a wide range of things that I do for fun. So, but pretty much in a nutshell, it's just about fitness and trying to lead a better and healthier life.
Nice. I know his fiance, and I know you taught her a lot about fitness. So that's pretty cool. So I heard that you're getting ready for like a competition or something like that. So
yes, my goal is probably about 3.5 months away or so. As I'm going to be doing a bodybuilding show. So I've never done one before. Right now I'm starting on my different cut diets. So I'm starting on a diet of carb cycling coming on Monday. And I already cut the fats out of my diet.
Man,
so it's quite an adventure. And he has me hitting the gym multiple times a day to try to make sure I hit that physique that they're looking for.
Yeah,
but it takes a lot out of you. So
yeah, I know we're gonna talk about relationship, but I want to dab and tell a little bit more too, because you got to be pretty disciplined to stick to something like that. Like,
yes.
mentally strong and goal oriented when it comes to stuff like that, if that's what you're trying to do. Is that correct?
Yes, it is incredibly difficult to do, and especially since I'm a past I still do from time to time. I use food as a crutch to help me out, like a lot of us do. So having to say no to that and not being able to do the sweets and everything else when things are frustrating or hard, or when you want to celebrate too, we use food to celebrate. So having to tell myself, no, I'm not going to do that, I'm just using food for fuel, is really difficult to do. It's especially difficult if you have a family, and if you're by yourself, it's a lot easier because you control everything. But I have a future stepson, and I got my fiance, and they're leading a normal life. They're eating normal food, and they had pancakes the other day, and I can't tell you that I just stood there just staring at those pancakes. I was like, I want a pancake. It was just pancake. It was nothing too special. But when you're hungry, and when you're the whole time you're like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to stay on this target, a pancake looks like heaven. So it changes everything.
So how long have you been on this particular fitness journey for the show that you're about to do?
The shows that I'm doing, I was with one coach for about a year and some change working towards this goal. I've recently switched coaches over, and I'm extremely happy with my new coach. He just understands me a little bit better, and he understands my physique and how I look. And I work with him very well. But I've been doing this, working towards this goal for almost like 2 years now or so. It takes a long time to even build your muscle mass up to a point where then you gotta cut everything down. So there's a long time of just eating everything that comes in your face, good or bad, just eating everything, because you need so many calories to build that muscle up. And then after that, then you got to break everything back down. And so now I'm at that point where I finally got a lot bigger than I was. And now my goal is to continue slowly growing, but also try to bring down that fat. And there's a fine line right there that you gotta balance, because you want to keep eating enough calorie surplus so your muscles can grow, but you want to make sure you're eating the right things so you're not growing in all the wrong ways. I don't want a bigger stomach. I want to get the abs starting to show. So it's a
Wow.
very hard technical, you have to adjust it every single week to get where you need to be.
Wow, that is very impressive, by the way, because I know for myself, and I know Christina will tell you that I am a snacker. I love to snack, and sometimes I'll just be in the office and I just tell myself, like, I'm not going to eat until lunchtime, and then I come out, I find all these snacks and candies and on people desk, and she'll try to say, "Oh, here's a protein bar." I'm like, "Oh, I want a Snickers," and and it's just my norm, my go-to, to
100%.
eat. Man, that's good though. That's really good. Very impressive. So let's just jump into what we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about relationships. So tell me a little bit about, where did you and Christina meet? How did you guys meet? I want to know the story.
The story, Christina's mother was regularly working out with me at my gym. She was one of my clients. And then Christina was going to a different location of the gyms, because we have a chain of gyms. And Christina's like, "Hey, I want you to try this other coach I've been seeing. He rocks. He's amazing," and everything else. She brought her in, and I was a little short with her the first time. She came in, she did a workout, and she was like, "Oh, this is just too much. It's too much. I feel like I'm going to puke." And so I pointed at a trash can. I said, "Go puke over there and come back."
Nice.
What's the big deal? Get it done. Come back. Let's do it.
Yeah.
What's the big deal? Push it out.
Yeah.
Go. And she was appalled. Couldn't believe I said that to her. But at the end of it, though, she got a good workout in. She thought I was probably pretty much a big jerk.
Yeah.
And she did come back again. And then it started. Then I told her that I was interested in her, and then she was interested in me, but unfortunately, I'm not allowed to date clients.
Yeah.
But then as time goes, she went ahead and she reached her goals that she was trying to hit. And then she went ahead and she left the gym. And then we started seeing each other.
Wow.
Our first date, we went ahead and went to a coffee shop.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun times going back and forth, because crazy work schedules with me and her also having a son and everything else. A lot of our dates also took place in parking lots in between me teaching classes or anything else. Or her, maybe she'll bring a rotisserie chicken and we'd sit there and split it or something. And so it was about building that healthy foundation of a relationship to go ahead and grow out of. But I knew right away that she was someone I wanted to know a lot better. And she did it too. So it worked out very well.
So did you sense that, because I hear people say, like when they meet their spouse, they said that they knew that person was the one.
Yes.
Did you sense that?
100%.
Wow.
100%. She was, I had just gotten out of a very long-term relationship, and I was like, I'm going to play the field. I'm going to go be a free agent for a while. And then as soon as I met her, I was like, oh, well, never mind. I guess it's done. And so it was one of those things that she still to this day, every day, she always amazes me. She always does something that I'm always blown away by. She always impresses me. And she's one of the most giving and genuine people I know too. So being able to just throw that kind of a person into your life really changes things and changes a whole mindset too. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, very nice. Very, very nice. So at what point in the relationship did you sense things was escalating to get more serious? Like, when did you sense that happening?
So we dated for a while before I went ahead and met her son.
Okay.
But I remember the first time meeting her son. I'm a big nerd. I'm into comic books. I have a lot of comic books. I've always been into it. And I was encouraging her, like, hey, we should get your son into comic books. And she I told her about they do a big thing for Free Comic Book Day, and a lot of comic book stores do big events for it. They had a big event going on in a comic book store near us, and I went ahead and I went there, and then she actually went too. I told her to go, but I didn't know if she was going to. She never got back to me, but she ended up there too. And so I ended up hanging out with her and Aiden for the first time. And it was amazing. It was so cool. And so being able to be with her and her son in that atmosphere, just like we're friends, we're just friends.
Yeah.
But being able to get to know me and see me and like everything else, it was a very mind-blowing experience to have that for the first time. And then after that, I realized I'm like, oh, now I've met the other in her life, as it said, because he came first. He's literally, her whole world is right there, and she's now letting me into that whole world. And so at that point, I realized things are getting very serious. So,
one of the things I liked about this story so far is I like the fact that she dated you, but she kind of let time pass before she brought in Aiden to kind of see how things was going to go. I think that's very smart. Yes. Because that's a way of her protecting him, because she didn't know which direction the relationship was going to go into.
Yeah, 100%. And she took the responsible route too, because she doesn't want to. You don't want your child meeting every person that comes through as a father figure or someone else that's going to be that way, because it creates instability in the kid's life. You made sure that it was something that we're going to be stable. This is going to be it, and everything else. And not to say that we haven't had rocky points like everyone else does.
Yeah.
But it was all about us just making sure that we talk it through, and that we both want to choose each other every day.
So. Yes, absolutely. So what did you start to find out about you two regarding having things in common as time went on? What did you find out that you guys have in common?
One of the times we were hanging out, we obviously we both loved working out. That was something that really clicked with both of us. And then as I shared more and more about my crazy eclectic life of random things that I've done my whole life, I found out more and more about her, and we came from a completely opposite ends of the spectrum. We were nothing that should be compatible in anyone's mind, but everything that I didn't have, she had. Everything I had, she didn't have. And then so what happened is we found that we really completed each other. She had things that I always wanted in my life, and I had things that she always wanted. And so what happened is over time, we learned that us more melding together and growing and building other things helped out more than anything. So it was our differences that drew us closer, and that made us want to be closer together. So it really started off with fitness, and then I think slowly music started to come in a little bit, and then movies a little bit. She used to tell me that she would listen to some of the music or something, because she was like, he might quiz me on some music later. But then anything she told me about, I would go home and research too, and be like, all right, I need to learn about this, because we both wanted to learn to make sure we wanted to both be the ideal person for the other. And I think that's one of the things too, is having a good partner is always about someone that they love you for who you are, but you want to be the best version of yourself every day for them. And I know she's that for me, and I hope to be that for her all the time too. And so every day you wake up, you have to choose, hey, I want to be the best version of myself to make sure everything else is going to feel right and be that part. Because you don't want to have someone that you love for the rest of your life, and then they're like, I love you for you, so you can just stay the same. No, you want them to challenge, you want to grow, and you want to build. And the fact that she does that every day I wake up, she challenges me to be better and more. And she always tells me, I love you for just who you are. And I'm like, yeah, but I could be better. I know I can be better. And then that helps me grow and want to be more. So
that's awesome. I really like the way you laid this out, because I think sometimes, and it's not with everybody, but I think sometimes people get into relationships for the wrong reason. And I think that, in my opinion, the fact that you guys made the decision to learn certain things about each other, like, she listens to certain type of music, or, just to be able to, just because she felt like you're going to quiz her, or you learning certain things that she like and things like that. And it really shows a sign that you two really care and love and respect each other and want to be the best version of yourselves
Yeah.
for the relationship. I think that's really, really good. I want to ask you another question. Earlier you had said that you had just got a relationship. And how did meeting her kind of heal, for lack of better terms? I don't know if the right terminology, but kind of kind of made you forget about some of the rough patches you had in that previous relationship? Like how did that kind of bring you back?
I think it didn't forget or really heal things. It
Okay.
taught me that one thing that it really taught me is some people out there can't stand the fact that they've had previous people in their lives before. But the way that we do it to make it, I think that's made it the most successful, is we accept that. Like
Mhm.
there's certain luggage that comes with every person.
Yeah.
And for you, you have to decide, can I help this person carry that luggage, or is that luggage too much for me to bear too?
Yeah.
And so she came with some baggage. She came with some issues.
Yeah.
I came with my baggage and my issues.
Yeah.
And some of those things, especially in past relationships, they were either things that I learned from, or I said, hey, that is a part of me. And
Mhm.
I am scarred with that a little bit. And then all I have to tell her is, like, when certain things get brought up or certain things happen, I just explained to her, I'm like, hey, I have a past scar with this. And then
Mm.
as soon as she realizes that, then we can approach it in a different way. Or we just approach it head on and say, all right, well, we're going to get in on this and see how this scar is going to be. Because that's how we really keep that build, and we keep going and we keep changing, is to say, hey, I have some things, I've never had a really relationship where I was like, that was a complete waste. That was, why did I waste so much time, years, months, whatever, with that person? Well, I needed to, because I needed to change and grow and learn from it to make me who I am today to be with her. And the same thing,
Wow.
without all the people in her past, without any of that stuff, she wouldn't be the person she is today. And that person is, in my mind, the perfect person for me. So that is so vital and so important, to not condemn someone for their past, or to say, hey, you need to do better, but instead embrace it, going, hey, that's cool. Let's move on and let's move together to something new.
Very, very, very well said. And I say that only because sometimes you hear when people do come into relationships, and of course they had a past with whoever. Sometimes they come in these relationships and put those bad experiences, unbeknownst to them, bring that within a relationship and not knowing that they're even doing. As a matter of fact, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they was kind of talking to me about some personal stuff, and then I was kind of thinking to myself, like, man, you don't realize that you're projecting a lot of your past into this current relationship you have,
Yeah.
which is why it's just causing so many issues and problems, instead of just dealing just dealing with it. Well, I'm just gonna be real here. I have a friend who is now in a relationship with this guy. Well, his wife passed away about 2 years ago. So in the house is the wife's son is still there. It's not the the girl I'm talking about, boyfriend wife had 2 years ago, but the boyfriend's wife's son is currently there in the house, and the wife pictures it's all over and just different things, and it bothers her, and one of the things I try to tell her, I said, well, first of all, he's still grieving, and like it's a lot that's going on, and she's in competition with this deceased woman.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I always think, especially when I hear about these kind of stories, is, you know, I I have a dog. I love my
Yeah,
dog. My dog
yeah,
will pass away at some point. I'm not when I get another dog, is that dog gonna freak out and be jealous of like, oh, you had another dog beforehand?
yeah.
It's just part of the life. It's part
Hmm.
of your life. It's part of your history. You don't go
Yeah,
to a restaurant and get appalled because they have pictures of other people that sat in the booth. Same thing.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you know, I feel like your friend has to go ahead and be like, hey, I accept this life this person had beforehand, and I need to be like, hey, this is all the things I'm seeing. They're past moments and memories and history that made this person I love who they are. And then
yeah,
hopefully re-looking at those, you can look at them with some cherish and some value, because those are literally the pictures and the moments and the person who made them who they are today.
yeah,
You should never look at someone's past with such disdain. So
yeah. Yes, I definitely agree on that. How um how do a healthy relationship affect a person's mental health in a good way, in your opinion?
um a healthy relationship, I've had plenty of unhealthy relationships. A healthy relationship, when you find those things that are breaking you down, those things that are just a struggle, those things that either work related or when you're like financially, any of those things, any of the other parts of wellness start to go askew, and it starts eating away at you, and you hear all those voices in your head getting louder and louder and louder. The other person, even if they're going through something else, they can sit there and calm you by sitting there and being like, hey, I'm your rock. We're okay. We will get through this. As soon as knowing that someone else is there to help you lighten the load, even if it's just to take some concerns off you, just to listen to you,
Mhm.
that's a good relationship. That's when
Yeah,
someone can have better mental health. Like when you like, I'm on the verge of a complete break. I like can't handle
yeah,
it right now. And you are able to call them or see them or just talk to them at the end of the night. You feel so much more relief from it just because
yeah,
then you're able to go ahead, move forward with it. And knowing that even if them just listening to you, if they can't lighten the load, but just listening to you, you're being acknowledged. And half the time, I think a lot of people think they're just so alone and they're only ones that's feeling that way and everything else,
hmm,
which I think is very narcissist.
hmm,
No one should feel that way. You're
yeah,
the first person to have someone screw you over. You're not the last person to get screwed over. You know,
yeah,
you have to be able to be like, hey, you know what, I'm going through this, but I need a little bit of help. And it's okay to ask for that help. And it's especially okay. You should never be with someone that you can't ask for help with.
yeah,
You'd always be able
yeah,
to ask them for help, ask them to listen and make those choices. But sometimes it's hard because the
yeah,
hardest part is making sure you're both on that wavelength at the same time.
yeah,
What if their stuff's really screwing with them right now? And you're like, I need
yeah,
you to be here for me. And they're like, I need you to be here for me. And then what
yeah,
you have to do is sometimes it's as easy as flip a coin, or sometimes you got to talk at the same time. And then both of you will start learning what to say to each other to help get you back. It took a lot of time with me and Christina to learn that of that
yeah,
level of communication that we currently have. And our communication, I think, is probably the best I've ever had with anyone. Um, like I've grown up with friends since elementary school and had them my whole life. They don't have that shorthand conversation that I have with her. It's pretty amazing.
yeah. Yeah, I'm so learning so much about you guys, and just because in my opinion, I think that this is needed. I really think people need to um hear stuff like this, because sometimes because our relationships are different, but I do know sometimes people don't like to deal with things. It's just easier to leave things in the closet, swept under the rug, and just kind of go
Yes.
on as they faster and faster and faster and faster. So I think you're right about the communication part. How do you guys handle differences when you guys have, like, difference of opinion of doing things or going about things a strong way, and you're both just like, no,
So
this is, I just know this is, how do you guys handle that?
so there's so many different levels of differences to be had, and I
Uh,
love this, because sometimes I sit there and I take it and I'm like, I feel like I'm doing this the right way. So then I approach it and I want to tell her logically, Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to go through this step by step why I think
Yeah.
this is the better way. And sometimes she just looks me down in the face, goes, "You're wrong." And so we have those clashes. But the cool thing is, though, is like either way, it's gonna get done.
Right.
Sometimes people are like, yeah, but what if she wants this and you want this? And I'm like, well, that's the whole point of compromise, being able to be like, hey, all right, we'll do it your way this time, or I'll do it my way this time. But I think the last time we had that little difference was just so it was so satisfying, because we were arguing about which way to get home. And we took two separate cars. I went my way, she went her way. I beat her by like a minute. That was it. Just she followed me into the driveway, and I was like, I was right. It was it was the most pointless thing. But it was those small differences. Some people let them blow up and boil into something huge. And the thing is, you got to remember, everyone's going to have differences. It's the whole thing of like, how do you do your toilet paper? Do you pull it down on the top, how it should be, or are you one of those weirdos that pulls it from the bottom? It doesn't matter. The little differences are those things that nitpick people, and they build and build and build. Sometimes you just got to point out differences and accept them, and then you can celebrate them later, because differences should be celebrated. They should be acknowledged, because you don't want to date you.
Right, exactly.
You want to date you, that's fine, cool. Date you, and then don't worry about anyone else. But you're in a relationship because you don't want to date you. You want to date someone that is different. So having those differences sometimes are maddening. But I'm the one that in our arguments, when we have our little tiny differences, I'm the one sometimes just laughing and telling her I love her over and over again, because I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is the funniest thing ever. And I love all of our differences, because the difference is what helps us build and grow, because I learn a lot about her. I learn a lot about how she views things, a lot about other things. And some things she learns about me too, and some of the things she doesn't like, and she'll express that. Same thing, vice versa. But those little differences, even if we're like, hey, I don't like this, it can be like, why don't you like this? Because I have past scars because of this, that. And they're like, oh. And then once you have that acknowledgement, you can figure out, is this something that's worth caring about and worrying about? Or is this something that I can just say, hey, we're going to let this water on a duck's back, just let it slide off. And I feel like, but you have to celebrate all those, the insignificant ones of like whose way of driving is the best, to the big ones of how are we going to spend our money? How are we going to save our money? Those are big differences. And if you have giant differences with those, that can put a massive strain on you. But having that communication and being able to be like, all right, we're going to do this and then that, as a joint unit, that becomes something that's a lot more able to do, and you can function a lot better with it.
That is awesome. And I love how you guys have allowed just everything in your relationship to use it to be close. You know what I'm saying? To allow it to just allow you to grow closer together, because nobody's perfect. No individual in a relationship, and no relationship is perfect. But if you have the mind frame that you want to be in this relationship and realize that there's going to be a bunch of roads down the head, but how do we handle that? How do we handle our differences? How do we handle our disagreements? You know, because at some point, it's, you know, within ourselves, we are naturally selfish people as human beings to a certain extent. But you know that you have to compromise when you in these, you know, relationship, you know, because you love this person. And I love the fact that you two are able to find a place where you can, how do you say, agree to disagree, so to speak. That's it's super important. But it's not about who's right, who's wrong. It's just about, okay, you know what, like you laugh, you know, I love you, this is silly, and you know, it's just part of life. This how things go. And I hope that people that see this particular show that are in a relationship, I hope they can just really grasp what you're saying and take some of the information to share and apply to their relationship, because it's important. It's very important. So yeah, I like that. Oh, I think we're hold on. I think we're going to be running out of time. We are, but I'm going to get another question in before we do. Um, when did you decide that you want to marry her? Like at what point you was like, oh, okay, I think I want to marry her and just,
I like, so this is one of those sappy questions because when I first started dating her, I literally the whole time was waiting for the other shoe to drop because I was like, she's so beautiful, she's so amazing, she's so far out of my league that there's no way this is gonna last. The other shoe's gonna drop. She's like, I just want to slum it a little while and I'm gonna bounce because she's always been that on for me. She's always been on that high pedestal.
yeah.
But when we had that like aha moment, like she's letting me in her world, like I am a part of this now. And then when we both started letting our guards further and further down, I was like, oh, she's the one. And I even took her home to meet my mother. And this was before we got engaged or anything else. I took her home and we were there with some friends and she met my mom. And my mom pulled me aside and goes, don't you let this one go. Don't you? And I was like, I'm not. And she goes, you better not. My mom was telling me, you hook this one. Don't fight for it. I'm like, I plan on fighting for it. I'm always going to fight for it. And at that point I was like, this is it. This is her. And I went with it and I never looked back. She's always been the one. It's been her. And I immensely loved planning how to ask her and everything else. And it was something that I think was perfect and I would never change it for the world. And she loves it too. And it's been her. It's always been her.
Nice. Okay. Well, we've run out of time for this particular segment, but we're going to pick back up in part 2. Thank you for this edition of Men's Health Matters. If you enjoyed this particular show, if you would like to be a guest on the show, or if you would like the DVD copy of this show, please dial 916-366-4600. Thank you.